Nice to meet
Nice
you
to meet you
guys.
too, man.
I'm James. This is Suraj. We haven't met. I believe one of your interns was it reached out to us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. How did you guys find us?
So it's my intern. He was really passionate about your different fintech podcasts, and he saw yours, and he started to listen. And then at some point, he was like, "Okay, guys, you need to connect with those guys. I think
Awesome.
can be a good match."
Amazing, yeah. So let's just kick off then. Tell us about Cappi. That's your company, right? I want to hear kind of your backstory, how you guys came together, how long you've known each other. What's the whole story there?
The whole story is like Steve and me. We know each other for so many time, like that for so many years now. It's like 10 years. We met in a university. So we did everything together, like from the first alcohol drink to the first party to the
Oh wow.
first like travel, first interview for internship separately with feedback stuff. So we did everything like together separately with the career in our career. And me, so basically I work as an engineer in consulting and investment banking. I launched one startup before to launch Cappi. And the thing is like I'm really passionate about finance, and also since like years I really want to build some things that's a huge impact into the world. And what I noticed is like now everyone want to work online. They want to have like a free life when they go from where they want, when they can do what they want, stuff. And what we notice is like for this new generation that work online, the banking, I would say the banking experience is not the best of the world. It's pretty shit compared to, like, for example, investment banking. When you're in investment banking, like you have like 1,000 assistants. When you have an issue, you just say it. Like you just say, okay, I want to finance this project, so they just find you like a solution. So and here this doesn't really exist for like normal people. So with this idea and Steve's background into tech, so we decided to commit our forces to build a new environment for the next generation of workers. And especially what we notice is like since people work online, there's a huge pain point, which is like 90% of people are not paid in time anymore. So to give you an example, when you work as a Uber driver, you deliver your service, you get paid in average 7 days later, compared to 1 year ago, 10 years ago, when you take your cab and just give the money from hand to hand. This type of situation doesn't exist anymore due to the world moving from physical cash to like online work.
So let me just kind of put into my words what you guys are doing then. So it's like a B2C application aimed at people who don't have strong financial knowledge to help them stay on top of their finances to be able to live kind of a more fulfilled and activated life.
It's a big infrastructure to help you when you think about your finance. It's like really like the investment banking for people. When you think about finance, you just go on the app and we find your solutions. So, and it can be anything. At this stage, like we focus on instant payment, but it can be anything. It can be you need access to credits, but you have like unstable finance. So bank don't really understand you. So in the goal in the future is like, for example, we will attract like banks to give you some credit, even if you are like you have a different profile compared to people who have a normal job with a normal salary. So it's like this, like an infrastructure.
You're like a middleman.
And Steve, sorry?
You're like a middleman, yeah. I understand the investment banking comparison. You basically facilitate, things like credit and loans and access to capital.
So you connect them to the relevant financial services that they would need in their professions.
In the long time, it's just we find them solution to their financial problem.
Okay.
No matter what. So sometimes it's going to be connected. Sometimes, it can be anything. It's just like as a gig worker or like freelancer or online worker, we have an issue, we find your solution. Because usually what happens is like people, they have an issue and they just think by themselves and try to solve it by themselves. Well, actually, like in finance, there's so many tools and tricks to find other ways that people usually don't know. So, and the goal is like to translate this to the normal people. And Steve, basically, because I didn't share his background, but like, or maybe Steve, you can share your story.
Yes, maybe. So basically, as Mounir said, we know each other for first. I graduated from engineering school in France. Then I joined a consulting group, and I helped to scale two startups in the Nordics. And Mounir came with the idea of building a financial ecosystem for the next generation of worker. And me, I'm super passionate about product finance, so I think it was a great idea to connect and build basically an ecosystem which doesn't really exist now, where this new generation of worker who is looking for flexibility, freedom, can come to us, and we can provide them tools, financial tool, for their daily life. So and I will say maybe the idea is to build like the bank for the gig workers, where and when we say banks, it's like the holistic view of banks. It's basically any financial service or product that a gig worker will need. We should be able to deliver that with Cappi and tailored with the need of the gig worker.
So that's quite a range of things that you guys offer. Are there any like trends you're seeing with your users? Like, what are the most commonly requested financial products, or are there any trends you're seeing there?
Yes. So now, what we have been starting to build so far is the instant payment. So basically, helping gig worker to get paid just after they have finished their work, because now they need to wait between 10 days, 60 days, depending on the platform, depending on the person they're working for. And we want to streamline this process, where basically you finish the work and you get instantly the money in the bank account. Because of everything happening in the world now, some people, mostly with our target group, they live paycheck by paycheck. So for us, the real need is to be able to get the money when you need the most.
So obviously it's like a really crowded market, this whole space of consumer finance. How do you guys differentiate from, say Revolut or any of these other big banks? Do you have a defensibility whereby they can't just implement what you guys have within, the space of a week?
Yes, I mean, one thing that we need, our main product is understanding the payroll data of the platforms. This is kind of a complex area because each platform has different payroll and is working manually also and operationally with their payroll. So what we are specialized at is understanding how the payroll data works, how each platform processes the payroll, and getting the right data at the right time to get the worker access their earnings. And I will say, we don't really see Revolut as a competitor, because Revolut, they focus on they're mostly focusing on foreigners working, traveling around the world, and we focus more especially on gig worker and implementing our API so that they can access their earnings. So I will say competitor-wise, it will be more like Stripe, maybe, who has, they could get easily access to their data, to this data, but Stripe don't own the user. And what we want by building this bank is owning the user, so that we are so close to the user that we can understand him better than anyone else.
And how many users do you have at the moment, and kind of what are the demographics? How do you have any insight onto how old they are, where they live geographically?
Yes, so now we have we have starting our MVP 2 weeks ago. We have 2,000 users, so pretty exciting, and we have a huge list of people who want to try the product. But since we're talking about finance, we need to really scale step by step. So what we have seen so far, we are mainly focusing on workers working with delivery app, food delivery app, logistic, telemedicine, and it's usually men from 20 to 35, earning from 1,000 euros to 2,500 euros, and where basically those guys at the end, like 2 weeks after getting paid, they don't have any salary. And usually how they were solving this issue before, it was asking friends, asking families, trying to get loan, but you have aggressive term, like you can have 40% interest on a loan from the bank if you manage to get the loan. And we have one use case, for example, it's a guy, he was working as a gig worker for mechanics. And basically in Stockholm, the market for renting houses is super hard. And it was end of the month, and his landlord, he needs to pay his landlord to get his apartment 700 euros. But he didn't have this amount. But he had work enough to get like 2,000 euros, for example. And basically he came to us, and he managed to get the apartment because we just paid the amount he has worked for before.
Are you kind of like providing loans based on their future salary in a way? So you're not really speeding up you're not trying to get their own salary from their employer to them faster. You're kind of bridging the gap, acting like a bridge loan until the point they get their salary. Am I along the right lines, or is it a different kind of structure?
So that's from the back end part. We are basically sending the money to the end user, and basically the platform will pay us back.
Yeah,
so
that
basically
makes sense.
it's a loan
Yeah.
to the platform, but from the front end and from the user perspective, he doesn't see that. He just sees salary streaming, and because he's not the one that we issue the credit for, it's the platform.
Yeah. So imagine you have to do like really extensive background checks on people then as well. How do you stop kind of bad actors getting into your system?
So that's why it's not the worker, it's the company. We do the credit check on the platform level, and then we change the IBAN for the worker. So now the worker will get paid through the Cappi app, and based on that, the worker the worker has no impact on what we do. If we don't get payback, for example, is the platform that we will go to the platform and not the worker. So the worker has no risk on coming with us.
I see. So in this model, you couldn't really stretch to like freelancers working independently. You'd have to be gig workers working for a company.
Yeah, I mean, it will be gig worker working with platform and also freelancer working with platform. You have in Europe and all over the world so many freelancers now working with platform, like the most well-known are like Upwork or Fiverr. You are a UX designer, you're working with a client through Fiverr. We are able to streamline your salary to Fiverr. But if you work with, for example, you're a freelancer working with Google, you're not our target group for now.
Yeah.
So have you integrated with those platforms, Upwork, Freelancer, Fiverr? They're your partners?
Yes, so we are integrated with around 15 different platforms. Upwork is one of them, but currently we are mostly focusing on the delivery economy, because we've seen just that the need is extremely huge in that area. So we are focusing on that from our first MVP.
Is the number of delivery drivers increasing? Because obviously there was a huge spike during COVID, and you saw all of these, public companies, stuff like Deliveroo in the UK got a huge kind of bounce from just people sitting at home and ordering stuff, right? How about now in 2023? Is that kind of projected to grow? Because you just hear about in the news, right? A lot of kind of online rapid delivery companies failing, not getting the funding they need, failing to get off the ground. Give us some insight into whether that's like a growing market or a shrinking market.
Yes, I mean, now it's a challenging market, right? I think we've seen Gorillas, for example, getting acquired lately, but with not such a great valuation. So I think a lot of companies, especially with the instant 10 minutes delivery grocery, are facing a lot of issues as well from that perspective. But at the other end, we've seen the main players like Amazon, Uber, food delivery, where basically they are still growing because the market of eating or getting your product is still growing, but not as fast as it happened during the COVID times, and it's expected to grow like 50% for the next 10 years. So it's a huge market which is growing. So I think yes, it's super exciting market to get in now.
And what was when you approached those platforms like the Freelancer, Upwork, Fiverr? How did you kind of position yourself to get them to see you as a business partner? Did they experience the problem themselves?
Yes. So from a freelancer part, we are a fintech, right? And we want to provide the best financial product. But for a platform, we are mostly like a HR tech, where our idea is to help them providing the best experience for the worker, so that the worker are engaged. They get the best worker, and they manage to retain them. Because even for those platforms, it's a huge deal to actually get the best worker and retain them to have long-term partnership with them.
Absolutely.
So this is basically.
Yes. So I was going to say, were those platforms already experiencing like a high churn rate of freelancers on their platform? Were they seeing people kind of drop off and increasing statistics of those numbers? And then when you guys kind of came in and said, "Hey, we can help you retain these people," they kind of probably thought, "Oh, this is fantastic. This is exactly what we need." Is there any statistics around kind of drop off or churn of freelancers on these like gig work platforms?
Yes, we have statistics, especially on the food on the delivery apps, right? Most of the workers, they don't only use Uber, Bolt. They usually go with 4 different delivery apps, on their phone, on their when they drive, and basically they usually take the one that give them the I would say the most money per trip, and they usually stay really short term, like 3 months. They're gonna do the work, they're gonna stop, and after they're gonna come back 1 year later. They're gonna work for 3 months and they're gonna stop. So it's super flexible for them. And so for us, the idea when we go to those platforms is basically we're gonna stretch this period so that you will have more experienced workers. And on average, it's 3 months. It's not good for the platform to hire so many new commerce. And on the other end as well, it's about the service that they deliver, because we also we are able to give instant tips to those workers, and the expectation that we haven't tested so far is that we will see an increase in tips because the worker can get the tips right after the ride.
Okay, when you say tips, you mean like financial, like actual monetary tips, or like insights, like actual, you know what I mean, like tips as in like guidance?
Yes, no, sorry, tips like financially monetary tips.
Monetary, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Like in food delivery, for example, the tips could be 40% of the worker salary. So this is it's a big thing now. And basically, if you provide the best experience and you can get the tips from just after you have done the delivery, it gives you more incentive to also deliver the best experience to the end user, which gives a better experience for the company, the platform overall.
Okay, and how do you give them the tips then? Like, how do you facilitate that? As in, do you have to pay them the tips yourself, or the platform? You tell the platform which of their workers are performing best, and then they allocate the tips accordingly.
No. So basically, it's the user, right? So if, for example, I want to buy some food now, I go on the Uber app and I buy 10 euros of 10 euros lunch. The delivery driver comes to my place. I take the lunch, and if I feel like the experience was great, I can give him some tips.
Give him tip, right? Yeah. Yeah.
At Cappi, what we do basically digitally, we get this information and we send the tips directly to the driver, and the driver doesn't wait for 2 weeks, for example, to get the tips. And then Uber, instead of paying the driver, Uber will pay us.
I see.
It seems like your biggest value add then, if you had to say in a sentence, is like you take the platform out and you go direct to the user, which I think is what you said at the start, and you just create the experience better for the end user, which is actually a very interesting value prop. Do you guys have competitors? Are there other people doing this in the space? Because I think this is the first time I've heard of someone doing exactly this.
But
yes, I mean in Europe, it's instant payment is in the US. It's extremely huge. You have like 5-6 different unicorns. In Europe, you have one main competitor, Wagestream. It's the UK based startup. They're pretty big and they're focusing mostly on the 500 companies with employees, so not gig workers. So we have no competitor that is providing a financial, basically a banking experience as we do.
The gig workers, yeah. You found your niche within the gig workers, yeah.
Exactly. And also with the ability to basically connect with any platform without the need of the platform involvement, because all those platforms, I mean, the current situation for them, they need to focus on their core. And for us, we just come and we're able to connect without the help, basically.
Have you guys been gig workers before? Like have you ever done like delivery driving yourself, or how did you find out this is a problem, right? Because you probably hear anecdotally, but I always find like a lot of people we speak to is like their ideas come from when they were in the trenches doing something and they found the problem themselves. They scratched their own itch. They reached out and found other people around them that had the same problem. So do you guys have a similar story, or is it something that just like came to you?
Me, I can share you the story how it's come from. It's basically me. When I was a student, I was a math teacher. And when I was math teacher, I was doing my courses I was going to houses and I was like giving my courses, etc. And then the world started to be online. And I remember like when I was doing my master, like people wanted to do like webcam courses. So I started to just give. So it was much more better because I can just stay in my home, wake up, and just do the courses. But just when I started the courses, I noticed that I was getting paid like 2 weeks. At this time, it was like 2 weeks later. So it was a complete change of paradigm because I was student. I wanted to have my money straight to go party. And then now I start to look at my money in 2 weeks and then I forget it. And that's how we start. And the second thing as well is like when I launched my first startup, I was hiring a lot of freelancers. And what I noticed is like my payroll was a mess. And I was taking time to pay them. So there was really a huge gap between when they finish and when they deliver. And that's how everything like start to pop out. And that's why we feel the need. And honestly, like, I know that it's really painful for the women because like for me, I knew that it was awful just to wait those 2 weeks and then you get some cash flow. You don't know where it's come from because you forget it. And yeah, it's really, really annoying.
We heard that. Do you remember, Suraj? We heard that from like Ashley a long time ago. He said he always had issue kind of chasing revenue, and then people wouldn't pay on him time. And I was like, this is a real problem if you can't even be asked to chase your own revenue because you're so you're just buried under the snow of work and you don't have the time to do it. But man, you slipped in there that you started another company before, right? So is this your second or your third? Tell us about what you did before.
So basically, before I built like a kind of e-career platform to help you in your interviews. And the deal was like, for example, you have an interview with like an interview like with a bank or like with a consulting firm or anything like with a very low chance of success. You can book an interviewer who already worked for this company and make you like a training interview.
Nice.
So that was like
really
the things.
For
students. Yeah. And for like company, like really like companies such as McKinsey, BCG Bain, for example, this was really, really helpful because like those people, like when you did the interview, you have 9 interviews, there's the success rate is like 5%. So just by practicing with like an interviewer, you get like you multiply by 10 your chance.
Did you find when you did that, like what was the monetization model? Like were you the person who needs help for the interview pays a fee to the person helping them with the interview and then you take a percentage of the fee? Was that the model?
So it was two things. It was like there was like a digital courses plus a fees in a commission on on the interviewer.
Would they be designed by you guys? Are those like
Right,
proprietary courses?
Yeah. We design
The
everything.
question I want to ask is like, when you had people who had someone helping them with the interview, did you find that after they met them once through the platform, that they would disaggregate from the platform and they would just swap WhatsApp numbers and do it outside? Like, what was the incentive to stay on the platform?
You mean like to prepare the interview?
Yeah, like what was their incentive to stay on the platform? Because otherwise,
first there's the courses. So and the courses like super heavy, and you need to go through the courses to learn and to keep going. So this just like keep you like for like a very long time. Usually to give you an idea, like someone who has an interview. Usually we do his interview in 3 months. So the lifetime is like in 3 months in average. And honestly, after that, for those big jobs like marketing management, like the journey is so long and intense. And when you have like you interview with like an interviewer, usually we take like very high quality interviewer. Each time you progress, so at some point you become addicted, like you want to get to learn more, and so just like step by step, people like just take it like all the time. And honestly, it was really successful because just it's the reward are so big and the success is so low, so it's really like bring you like a security or safety, just like, and it's worth it, like just to make the bet, to make a lot of interviews before you interview, just because like if it's work, the reward can be very big. Otherwise, like you need anyway for help. But like just by naturally, like people that just keep it because, and we was making sure that the course was really amazing, plus the interview was really amazing, and we separate the skills, and so it was like very like a dedicated program. Yes, it's more like a program as a platform, but like it was more like a program.
And what was the biggest learning you had from that business now into Cappi?
From that business, I have so much learning from this business. But to Cappi, I think there's something I found it very powerful in my last business is the branding. Mm-hmm. I think just to find the right words, the right names, the right company names, the right color experience. It just creates, even like it's stupid, but like for example, like with my previous company's name was Chatcase, very simple, very clear, so it clicked the mind of people. Plus the color experience quickly, it was blue and black and yellow, so you see yourself different from the other competition. This was very powerful, I feel it. At least like with small tricks, you can really create a very strong experience.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why we try to reproduce with Cappi. For example, with Cappi, we are pink. Like it's super rare that you see any app in pink. Like it's super, super, super rare. So quickly now you made us like quickly you associate like pink with Cappi like slowly, compare like to every company brings, and it's small things, but just quickly boom, you create an experience. Now like okay, now we are pink Cappi.
I even noticed that, man. When I went on your website, I was like, I was taken aback by the interface. The white and the pink is very striking. I like it, yeah. And it's like when I'm speaking to people recently, and it's kind of changed my perspective on branding, right? Because I think a lot of the time, if you come from like a business environment or even more a technical environment, and you're not like a marketer by trade, you kind of see branding as like that final layer that you just put on the end of the product, right? I have a product, customers are going to come to me because I have some kind of technical advantage, or I understand their problems really deeply, or I have a sector expertise, and then I can just layer some nice UI on the top, and there's my product ready to go. But it's very different from that. And I've spoken to people recently who are saying like branding is done from day one. And like as you define what the vision is for your company and who you're going to reach out to and what you want to stand for, the branding needs to be part of that. And then on top of that, that will actually evolve as you get kind of more advanced. I think probably the biggest profile example of that would be like TransferWise, right? Which is now Wise. And they've kind of done like a very subtle rebrand to show that they're a full services financial company now, and not just cross-border instantaneous payments.
And actually you see the branding before saying the product. The first thing you see is the branding, and then you say the product. So it's important from the beginning, like when you penetrate in the world, you can already send like a strong message.
So what are, if you had to give me 3 words that you want people to associate with Cappi as a brand, what would they be?
Yeah, we have like, so we make like a work like, what's his Cappi and what is our brand guidelines, but it's weird to say it, but the first thing is like loving product. These 2 words, loving product.
Like product first, right?
Yeah, love product first.
Yeah,
because we don't build instant pay for instant pay. We don't build like a line of a code like just to push. What we built is like at any time you have your access of your money. At any time you can go to your restaurant, to your date, to do your sport, to buy your boxes, stuff. To at any time you have access to what you want. And second thing is like peace, like in terms of like. Since now you have like some things that can help you in your finance, you can do what you want. You can focus on some other stuff than reason and focus on your money. And the last one, because there's so many, last one I will say life experience. It's 2 words again. But basically, is the goal deeply? The goal is like we built an infrastructure, an ecosystem to help you to live fully your human life. Because finance is boring. Like caring about even like send money from bank account to bank account is boring. It brings nothing. It's just like manual. Accountant can do it. It's really
don't
boring.
Want to notice it, right? The goal is like to not even notice it, for it to be seamless. Because I think like what you're describing is people notice it's a problem because they don't have their money, right? Because they look at their bank account and they have $0 or pounds or euros. And you're not trying to create something that's really gonna like crazy add value to their lives. You're just trying to create this baseline of where they don't have to stress about something as commonplace as money when they should just be paid on time. Now it's really interesting. And what I like about it is like I think a lot of people, particularly young people, just chase the flashy product and want to do something that's gonna attract hundreds of thousands, millions of users because go viral this day, and it can be easily packaged up onto Instagram or TikTok. But you guys are actually solving a real problem that's felt that might go underappreciated as well, because it's not some like crazy front end consumer facing product. But I want to ask you guys another question, which is we get a lot of guys like myself personally and Suraj that have kind of come from a corporate background. And they always talk to us about, their lessons and how that's kind of shaped them for who they are. And a lot of people talk about how they weren't happy in their corporate jobs and they needed to break out and they fell into entrepreneurship. Is that like a similar story for you guys, both of you? Did you enjoy your time in corporate? Are there any lessons you could take away from it? Or was it just like hell the whole time you were there and you were just like tearing down the door, couldn't wait to get out?
Well, me, I'm not gonna throw shit on my ex-employer because at the end I really like them, and thanks to them is here where I'm here. And like I would like
it. Is the disclaimer at the start before you start, tearing into them?
But the thing is, like honestly, at a young age, I don't feel that. For me, at least, for some other people, maybe is good, but for me, at young age, corporate is not the I think doesn't feed my personal need. I think when you go to corporate, it's very safe, very straight, very stable, very repetitive. You are in a box. So I think like entrepreneurship, it's much more risky, much more scary, much more difficult. But in other sense, you build something, you feel that you are part of the world, from the society, and I think it's at the end of the day, it's a better feeling than do Excel file on daily basis for like stuff that you understand, but you don't really see the impact. So yeah, for me, corporate was like nice to learn everything, but I feel much more happy like in doing entrepreneurship. Just create, like in corporate, maybe there's some quite they create, I don't know, but I feel that when you are so big like this, your idea is just to you are a big bot who just like don't feel any more waves. They just try to be stable. When you're an entrepreneur, you build a small bot and you go and you surf the wave, and like it's funny, and you decide your direction, and like you are so small teams that you can be as creative as fuck, like crazy. And I think this fit better like the age between 20 and 35, I think.
Yeah,
So
you just
corporate
have
was nice,
so much more opportunity to harness your potential, right? Like there's
yeah,
no ceiling. You can go as high as you want.
yeah,
And
exactly.
bro, even the words you were saying with Cappi, like the word that came to my mind was potential. Like you're unlocking potential for your
Yeah,
users,
exactly.
the potential of their life. Like they can go and live the life that they really want and not have to worry about their finances day to day and just live their life to the ultimate potential, right?
Yeah, and we focus on this, which is amazing. Like in corporates, you focus on a small part of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Here, like you really can go big. Like we really try to, me, like when I'm wake up on daily basis, I'm like, okay, I try to be in the head of the user, and I'm like, okay, how I can make him more happy and peaceful. And so that's how deep I go. Compared to corporate, it's really, I never protect myself so deeply in corporate.
So from the time that you're working in corporate to now, like what advice would you have for people that are currently working in a corporate role? And because it sounds like that you enjoyed the role, you learned stuff from it, and then the separation from the role was quite easy and straightforward. But let's say somebody's in a job right now, they're not too satisfied. It's nothing personal, but it's just like they want to experience what you just described between 20 and 35, like that untapped potential of their life. What advice would both you guys have? I'm really interested to hear.
Leave your job. No, take control. Leave your job. What do you want? What do you want? No.
Get the fuck out right now. Yeah, I'm with you, man. ASAP. Like, no backup plan. Just drop it and just go. Go on a holiday, get a one-way ticket somewhere. Yeah. Same page. I think it's legit advice.
Worst case scenario, get a car, join Uber, join Cappi, and then you don't have to worry about your finances. You can think about the next big step.
But I guarantee some gig workers are earning more than office workers as well. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yes, Steve, I'd love to hear from you, man. Like, what did you learn? You said consulting, right? So how did you get out of it personally? Was there like a point where you said, all right, I need to drop this and move on from this life? And then, because we've spoken to people that say, a lot of people say, oh, I need some kind of stability, right? I need some kind of like financial, base from which I can build on, which gives me comfortable and taking enough risks that I can be an entrepreneur. But then having said that, there's a trade-off. If you want to, leave your job too early and you don't want to get tied down with a wife, kids, dogs, mortgage, all of this stuff, right? So it's like, how do you find that balance between having enough, stability on the back end without getting too trapped in that corporate lifestyle?
Yes, I mean, I mean, when I did, all my family, brother, sister, parents, they all have like stable work. And stability for me, it was definition of life, basically. Stability, working in a corporate job and climbing the ladder this was my baseline. But after my engineering school and starting working with consulting, after 6 months, 1 year, and we were super connected with Mounir at that time, I was like, this is really boring. I mean, this cannot be the end, right? So I cannot stay like this for 30, 40, 50 years because the people I'm working with, I'm not so exciting to work with them. The project not so exciting.
And it's crazy as well because I bet when you were like applying for the job as well, you thought like, oh, this is great, like this is exactly what I want out of it, right? We all get suckered into thinking like this is where we need to be and where we want to be, and within a few months of being there, you're like, nah, this is not what it's cracked up to be. But sorry, continue.
Yes, exactly. Because it's the story, it's the story that you build in your head. Oh, working at that firm will be amazing and you will have a great time. But then when you're at that firm, you understand all the process and that no one cares about nothing really working there.
Not sure what happened there. Steve seems to have disconnected.
It's a teaser. And now like advertising, like Super Bowl.
Exactly. now everyone's on the edge of their seats to see what he says next.
Oh man, it's all planned out. Or he just got sick of our faces, and I wouldn't blame him for that either.
He was like, back to work.
It's a rap, boys. Like, I'm wasting my time here. Jeez.
But Mounir, what would you say then? What like serious advice would you have for somebody in that situation?
Me, I can tell you like a good advice because I was making jokes before, but like the advice is I know why I was in corporate. It's because I didn't meet my drive yet, or I was not caring about what I really like for the long term. I was just looking for short term. Okay, I need to do this in university, I need to go there. But I was not looking about what is inside me. And I think the big advice is there's nothing bad to be incorporated because even you can be incorporated and completely fully drive, etc. But what is important is like try to see like what you like, what makes you happy on a daily basis, without thinking too much about the risk, because it's 1,000 risk. But and I think that's what scared me at the beginning. It was like, well, maybe I like some stuff that will not pay my rent, etc. But just like I would say, like even between 20 and 30, don't think too much about the risk. Think much more about what you like, because it's so when I'm gonna sound cheesy and etc. But like it's when you know what you love, it's so powerful after that, because even if you have a bad day, if your finances are low, if you have some family issue, some relationship issue, you still keep going just because it's like it becomes your safety zone. And this is like, I think, the very powerful, the energy behind about what you love. That's very, very powerful, and it can bring you very far away compared to if you do something that you don't like, or if you don't know what you are doing here, just doing to do some checking box. When you have a bad situation, you will drop very quickly because you're like, oh, but like all my life is shit and this job as well is shit. So, oh, fuck, I want to stop everything. So I think that the thing it's not easy to find what you like. Even me, I'm still looking all the time to refine, okay, maybe I know more of this inside of this, but at least to make the start. And I think not my mistake, but like I start to really look by what I like a little lately, I would say.
Okay.
Kind of.
Yeah. So you'd say think long term, understand yourself, understand what kind of person you want to be in the long term, and then start now, but make small steps towards that, and eventually it'll turn into something bigger.
I think that's the overlying point, but I think on a practical level, I can relate a lot to what you're saying, Mounir. Like I can because I'm interested by a lot of things. I don't know if you're the same, but like there's just so many things that intrigue me. And the question for me is not like I don't know what to work on. It's like, what should I work on? Because there's so many things that I could do. And it's like, you only have 24 hours in a day, and where should I focus? And I want to hear your take on it, because the only way I found is by doing things for like, a couple of months here, and like actually getting deep enough into stuff that you kind of know what it's about, and you know whether you'd want to spend years doing this. And really, really on that process, you kind of get to know yourself a bit better, and you kind of converge on the right answer, because I think it's quite easy. Particularly, I know when you're like 18, 19, 20, or you're in uni, or you're fresh out of school, and you kind of see a lot of people, building big companies. I know we certainly did at that age, kind of look up to people who are building huge companies who have just been doing the same thing for like 20 years. And you're like, wow, how did they have that drive to like stick out to one thing? And how did they know from such a young age? And if you're not lucky enough to find a kind of land on what that is as like a teenager or a child, then you do have to do a bit of work in your 20s, which is kind of, working in a corporate, working odd jobs, trying your hand at a startup, looking into the tech world, see if you can find something, and then probably give yourself, anywhere between 3 to 5 years of actually experimenting. And then hopefully by the time you're late 20s, you'll start to converge on what you want to do and build a company there. And I think I'm speaking from personal experience as well, because I'm 25 now, but you certainly feel in your early 20s, you see like high achievers, and you feel a lot of pressure to like, I should be building a startup right now, and I should know what it is. And you actually look inwards and you're like, oh, but I'm not sure I know what I would want my startup to be at this point in time. And you shouldn't make it for the sake of it. And what I really like is the way you're saying is like, you found something you want to do, and Cappi is something that you would be happy spending years on doing. And it's only once you got to that point that you can actually project forward. And to answer the question, it's kind of, this is like just like, and also just by it's weird because it's not I think it's much more art than the science. It's much more like test, at least what I do for me is like, because even me is not so clear. It's like I think I'm further in my journey, but still it's like all the time ongoing and changing. So it's much more like I test, and naturally I get bored of some stuff, and naturally there's some stuff that I keep doing. I don't know why, and naturally this come, and also it's reading with me and kind of the society need, I would say. Like, it's because it's like when I'm like what I'm doing, and when the society reward me, kind of now, like it's like start to be like a machine. Because if I like something very strong and the society don't reward me, I start to it create like trouble in my life. And then so
And I don't know if you know this concept, or maybe you know Ikigai. You know Ikigai?
Yeah.
I think this is the perfect concept. Like Ikigai is like to have this like energy power going is like those four things, like do something that you love, do something that society wants, do something that you are super good at, and do some things that pay you well. And I think like when you do those four things step by step, it's like create like a natural energy, because everything is bring like positivity for you, so you just keep going. But it's easy to say, not easy to do, because like it takes times. It's like it takes times. It takes crazy time just to. It's like, because on a daily basis, it's like boring. Like there's not so much things to appear, but just one step after one step, when you feel it, you go that you are happy about what you do. Yes, the one by step, like you complete the step, and then you see what you like, what you love.
Yeah,
and it's a lot by looking behind, by instead to look forward.
Yeah,
because
it's a
when
lot
you
of
look forward, you don't
personal
really see.
reflection, right?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
the personally
Exactly,
reflecting
yeah.
and kind of looking at like the different areas of your life, of which one you think can have the most value for yourself and also the world.
Exactly.
I think one of the good things about it though is that these days there's so many opportunities across different industries, across different
Yeah.
skill sets. So it's almost like when you think about where to start, it's like, well, what do you like? Because there's probably somebody already in the world being successful of doing exactly that. So there's
Yeah.
already a blueprint, there's already a formula there for you to kind of embody and take to the next level. So,
Yeah, for sure.
because I mean, even these days, if you like playing video games, there's an opportunity for you to become somebody. If you like, any kind of home skill, you could probably create YouTube videos and help somebody to get those skills, or the list is endless, really.
Yeah, for sure. And it's huge competition. And that's why, so I will add like the thing is like you need to find your drive. And when you find your drive, after there's like a big machine, which is like, I mean, it's for me, it's very personal, like it's like emotional management. Because as you see, like when you know you drive, after that you will see like so many things, like okay, there's 1,000 competitions, so you're gonna be stressed, you're gonna be scared, or maybe you know you drive, but you're not gonna meet your expectations, so you will experience sadness, etc. So all this like can really like move you in a different ways, and
Absolutely.
after you drive, like knowing how to manage your emotions in the long term, because this is not easy. It's like when you know you drive after like days going, and again like it's really small step by small step. It's like not as entertaining like as a Marvel movie. So
Absolutely,
so at the end it's
there's something that James and I are quite interested in that's very relevant to this, and probably James more so than I, but it's the philosophical concept of stoicism, in that you should only control. You should only think about and worry about that which you can control. And therefore, because you can control it, you shouldn't worry about it. You should just do the things that are in your control to maximize your ability to be happy and do the best in your capacity. And then let the world do the rest. But as long as you're affirmative in that, then, what can really hurt you? James could probably talk much better about it than I can, to be honest.
No, you nailed it. Absolutely that, right? It's like just not letting the way I interpret it is something that I kind of carry through in my life, is like, do not let the little everyday things phase you. And the way you can only really do that is if you have, I think, not really a strong idea of like who your vision or what you want to do, but more who you are. And it's like, I'm comfortable that even if I don't exactly know at this moment of time where I will be in 5 to 10 years, I don't think any four of us or any of our listeners could really say with any certainty where they're going to be in even 5 years' time, right? But you're comfortable and confident in yourself that you'll find the right way. And therefore you can kind of trust yourself that you're on the right trajectory, provided you're putting the necessary steps in place. But Steve, you're back with us, man. You kind of left us for a bit, and then he was kind of like sideways as well. I thought he was doing like some human flag or like some calisthenics. He was like rotated 90 degrees, but he's finally back with us. Now you're good now.
my phone died, but I hope now you should see me better.
Yeah. Happy days.
Yeah, all good.
See, man, yeah, we were just talking about like finding Ikigai, which I'm sure is a concept you're familiar with as well, and just trying to find your purpose. Do you feel like you found it with what you're doing in Cappi? Do you feel like you're like well on the way to finding what you're happy to be doing for the next, at least a few years?
Yes, I mean, Mounir has introduced. I think you introduced me to Ikigai. I think
it's me. I'm the guru.
He came into his own when he started talking about it. He was like, "Yeah, this is it. This is my jam.
I've
got this on lock." Just starts like preaching to us all.
And me, I really like the concept. I think mostly what we do in providing value to people in any type of perspective is, I think, what brings energy and makes you feel alive. And what we're doing with Cappi now, it's really solving a problem that is happening right now to workers. And when you get this feedback loop, when you provide value and someone solve a real problem, this is basically amazing. And I think for the next 10 years, if we're able to scale and we continue to provide value to as many people as possible, I think with a lot of fun, still is good when you go to work and you're around people that you like and you have some fun, you can enjoy being around. I think it's basically it. You nail it.
That's it.
Is it sounds like for you guys, like your Ikigai, your meaning, your purpose is very much aligned to like helping other people as well, and like lifting up others around you. And it's interesting because it doesn't always have to be that way, right? I think like a lot of people, I think the first thing that will come to mind is like an athlete. A lot of the time they're very, very egocentric. They they want to be the best. They want to win world championships or whatever, go to the Olympics. And that's like an Ikigai that's very self-centered. Did you ever kind of have to grapple with that kind of egotistical side of you, or has it always been you've always liked helping others? You've found pleasure in kind of giving value back to others?
I think for me, it's I think we have different perspective with Mounir, but for me, there is two ways where basically most of the thing that I think we do or I do, it comes from an egoistic perspective, where basically if I provide value, my ego feel fulfilled, and I like it, right? Because I don't do things that I don't like. So it goes with both ways where I think it's really fun and it's really great to provide value, but it's also great because I like it. And yes, so basically that's kind of my two ways of approaching that.
I've heard that before. It's like to be selfless is actually to be selfish because it feels really good. Whenever you're selfless and kind to somebody, it gives you this like internally enjoyable feeling of warmth and happiness that you're actually being selfish by being selfless because you're doing it for yourself to feel good. It was an interesting take on compassion.
On a slightly like less cynical way of framing it is like when you say that you give, like two people benefit, right? When you give to someone, they benefit, but you also benefit. I think that's a cornerstone of like quite a lot of religions, like especially Christianity. I think that's one of the cornerstones of their religion is like when you give, it's not only good for the person you're giving to, but good for you as well, and and how you are in the eyes of God. Not that I'm a Christian or even particularly religious, but it's interesting the parallels there. I'm just not sure I would say frame it as selfish, to be honest. I think that's just the part of the human condition. Like I think it's great if you can make someone feel better and yourself feel better. It's not a zero-sum game, right? If you can give happiness to someone else and also have it for yourself, like that's the dream outcome.
I think the idea is that when you come to the conclusion that the happiest you actually feel is by doing good to other people, then you start doing it relentlessly, specifically to feel good for yourself, right? So it's an interesting take, but I see your point completely. Because at the end of the day, if it's doing good for others, then hey, more power to you.
Thanks.
My point of view. So yeah, I think like there's like this idea about like helping people and they get you like a nice feeling. But me also, like I'm kind of centric on people. Me like it's kind of opposite. It's like because me like I've seen my life like okay, I'm just here like for like some years, and I just want to make sure that at the end of my years, my life counts for the society. I don't know. It's like maybe like in my brain, I think I feel I'm Jesus, but like it's like just
you got the hair as well, bro. You got the hair as well.
Something. Maybe there's something. I need to go to a desert in 40 days and not eat. I think maybe I will meet someone. But yeah, me, it's like what's important for me is like really like at the end of my years, I want to look back and say, okay, at least my life counts for 2019. I don't know how. Maybe it's not going to be as big as imagined, but at least I want to. It will make me happy. Or it make me happy to say, okay, when I wake up, it was to go with the flow and not against the flow. So it's like,
absolutely.
I think something very important for me.
Fantastic. Well, listen, guys, it was an absolute pleasure to speak to you both. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was really amazing. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you really also nice. Invitation. Yeah. Really great discussion.
Yeah,
100%,
very
Thanks,
interesting.
guys.
we really enjoyed it as well. Mounir,
Yeah,
Cool,
thanks
happy,
so much.
happy to hear.
If we're ever in France, yeah, we'll shout you. Or do you guys come to London a lot? Do you come to the UK or?
Right, London is my second base.
Oh, happy days then, yeah.
Perfect.
Let us
I'm
know when you're next is.
Yes, I'm coming
Okay.
to the UK. I'm going to do some silent retreat, Vipassana, end of March.
Oh
So
wow! Good luck
I will
with that.
be.
That's awesome.
Yes.
It's gonna be very relaxed. I don't know if you'll either come out really relaxed or maybe going slightly crazy.
Let's see.
Let's see.
Awesome,
man.
guys. Well, good luck with that.
All the best, guys. Take care of yourselves. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. See you. Thank you, guys. Have a
Bye
good day.
bye.